Good evening. It's good to see you again on NTV7. I'm Anon Watanasin. This is 7Edition, and these are your headlines. Kimanis by-election is set for January 18th. Armed robbers escape with 230,000 ringgit in cash in Georgetown heist. India citizenship law protests rage across university campuses. The Election Commission has set the Kimanis parliamentary by-election in Sabah for January 18th. Its chairman, Dr. Azhar Azizan Harun, who announced this today, also said that the nomination of candidates would be on January 4th, while early voting is set for January 14th. The EC said it's aiming for a 70% voter turnout in the poll, which is estimated to involve an allocation of 3.6 million ringgit. The electoral rolls, updated on December 9th this year, containing a total of 29,664 voters, would be used for the by-election. Of the total, 9 are early voters, while 1 voter is overseas. Beaufort District Officer Jupari alias Jupri Etok has been appointed the returning officer, while Dewan Datuk Sri Panglima Haji Muhammad Dun Banir will serve as the nomination and vote tallying centres.
Tempoh berkempen yang ditetapkan adalah 14 hari bermula selepas pengisytiharan calon-calon yang bertanding sehingga pukul 11.59 malam 17 Januari 2020 hari Jumaat.
The Kimanis parliamentary by-election, which will be the 10th held since the 14th general election on May 9th last year, was called following the Federal Court's recent ruling in affirming the Kota Kinabalu Election Court's decision to annul the victory of Datuk Sri Anifa Aman in the seat during GE14. The Election Court made the decision on August 16th this year after finding that there were additional ballot papers which could have affected the results of the election. The former foreign minister who contested on the Barisan Nasional ticket won by a 156-vote majority when he polled 11,942 votes against Parti Warisan Sabah candidate Datuk Karim Bujang's 11,786 votes. Datuk Karim filed a petition to challenge the result on June 18th last year. Meanwhile, the EC said it has not received the court order on Datuk Sri Anifa's intention to apply for a rehearing following his appeal against the Federal Court's decision to uphold the Election Court's ruling nullifying his GE14 victory. Datuk Azhar said due to this, the Kimanis by-election would be carried out as scheduled until the courts rule otherwise.
Ianya bergantung kepada apa-apa keputusan mahkamah, apa-apa perintah yang dibuat oleh mahkamah lah. Tapi setakat ini tidak ada perintah yang berkenaan, jadi kita akan teruskan. Ya.
So everything just jalan sajalah.
Oh mesti. Ya, sebab dalam mengikut perlembagaan kita ada cuma 60 hari daripada 10 Disember 2019 untuk memenuhi vacancy di parlimen tu. So kita perlu adakan pilihan raya dan menyelesaikan pilihan raya itu sebelum 60 hari itu lah, jangka masa 60 hari itu. So jangka masa tersebut berakhir pada 7 Februari 2020.
It was reported that Datuk Anifa's council will apply for an urgent stay order to prevent the EC from holding the by-election. He will also file an application for the Apex Court to revise its decision to uphold the Election Court's ruling, in which he will contend that the Federal Court quorum, which heard his appeal, was tainted with bias. A total of 153 foreigners detained in an immigration bust on suspected online cheating operations carried out in Cyberjaya last month were charged in the Sepang Sessions Court today for immigration offences. All 130 men and 23 women aged 19 to 34 were charged with entering the country without valid documents and overstaying. It took about an hour and a half for the charges to be read to all the accused, comprising 152 Chinese nationals and a Bangladeshi man. All of them then pleaded guilty to the charges before Judge Tengku Sharizam Tuan Lah. Of the total, 102 individuals were charged under the Immigration Act for failing to produce valid travel documents, and the court fined them 5,000 ringgit each. Another 51 were charged under the same act for overstaying, and the judge imposed a 15,000 ringgit fine each in default of 5 months jail. Only 152 accused settled the fine, while one person was ordered to serve the jail sentence for failing to pay the penalty. They were the second group to appear in court after the first group, comprising 373 Chinese nationals, were charged in the Sessions Court for similar offences on Friday. On November 20th, the Immigration Department raided a 6-story building in Cyberjaya in connection with an online scam syndicate where 680 Chinese were detained while more than 100 people escaped. The Alor Gajah Sessions Court today transferred the case of 38-year-old Chief Executive Officer S. Chandru, who was charged with possession of items related to terrorist group the Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam, LTTE, to the Kuala Lumpur High Court. Judge Ahmad Sazali Omar made the decision after hearing submissions from the prosecution to have the case transferred in accordance with the Criminal Procedure Code. The prosecution informed the court that all offences under the Security Offences Special Measures Act, or SOSMA, need to be heard in the High Court. On October 29th, Chandru was charged with possessing items containing elements of terrorism related to the LTTE in a mobile phone at Kampong Bukit Balai on October 12th. He was among 12 people, including 2 assemblymen, following crackdowns on alleged LTTE supporters earlier in the same month. In Penang, 2 men escaped with 230,000 ringgit stolen from a security service van parked outside a bank in Georgetown before noon today. The daring daylight heist occurred at 11 a.m. at Jalan Tun Dr. Awang when personnel from the security firm were unloading cash from the ATMs at the bank. It was understood that the robbers, wearing balaclavas and armed with revolvers, went up to one of the security personnel carrying bags containing cash. The suspects then struck the security personnel's officer's face with the firearm before grabbing one of the bags. The suspects then fled the scene on a motorcycle. The security personnel sustained injuries to his face in the scuffle. Following the incident, police have launched a manhunt for the robbers and quickly set up roadblocks at all exit points, causing a major traffic congestion on the island. Police will look into the statutory declaration of former Elite Special Action Force UTK police officer Azila Hadri, who had claimed that he was ordered to kill Mongolian model Altantuya Sharibu by former Prime Minister Datuk Seri Najib Razak and his close associate Abdul Razak Baginda. Bukit Aman CID Director Dr. Huzair Mohammed said so far police have yet to see the SD, which was reported by Malaysia Kini.
Kita belum tengok lagi SD tu. Okay. Di mana you dapat SD tu? I dapat. Tengok lagi. Unless you bring to us. Okay.
The news portal reported Azila, who was on death row, had alleged that in 2006, Datuk Seri Najib, who was then Deputy Prime Minister, had described Altantuya as a foreign spy and directed him to shoot to kill. Azila's SD was filed on October 17th as part of his application seeking the Federal Court review and retrial, which he said will enable him to provide full evidence in open court so that justice could be served. The court fixed tomorrow for case management. Meanwhile, Datuk Seri Najib had denied the allegations stated in the ex-police commando's SD, describing it as a complete fabrication. The Finance Ministry has transferred the 40 million ringgit grant promised to the newly set up CIN Alumni Association Education Trust Fund, TAAETF. Finance Minister Lim Guan Eng announced that the money was transferred into the accounts of the trust fund at a press conference today. Association's President Dr. Yap Kuap Fong said the registration of TAAETF had been approved by the company's Commission of Malaysia. At the event, TAA also announced that it had appointed 9 members to its board of trustees to ensure credibility, transparency, representativeness and professionalism of the fund. On the question of how the money would be used or dispersed to students, the association will meet with the management of TARC to get a list of students who are already receiving scholarships to continue dispersing the funds to them. Johor, Pahang, Terengganu and Sabah are on yellow weather alert amid heavy rains from the past 2 days that have worsened flooding in hard-hit areas. As of 7 p.m. today, the number of evacuees in Johor has slightly decreased, with 8,803 victims compared to 9,151, at noon today, displaced across 93 relief centres. Pahang recorded 978 displaced victims from 255 families. The northeast monsoon rains have caused floods in 9 out of 10 districts in Johor, as well as 2 districts in Pahang. Kluang recorded the highest number of victims in Johor at 2,750, followed by Kota Tinggi at 2,036, Segamat at 1,517 and Mersing with 1,308. Heavy rainfall is expected over these areas as well as Kulai until tomorrow, while Keningau, Tambunan, Ranau, Kota Belud, Sandakan and Kudat in Sabah will expect heavy rain until Wednesday. In the meantime, the number of flood victims in Rompin, Pahang decreased to 957 people from 251 families, compared to 1,003 victims from 256 families this afternoon. 10 relief centres are operating in Rompin. Meanwhile, an engineer was trapped on the roof of his four-wheel drive vehicle for about 2 hours before he was rescued early this morning. In the 5:15 a.m. incident, 43-year-old Law Wei Kiong was on his way to Kuantan for work when floodwaters at Batu 13 Jalan Kota Tinggi Mersing cut him off. Thinking that he could still traverse the flooded road with his four-wheel drive vehicle, Law continued on. Unfortunately, the vehicle's engine died as it was caught in the rising floodwaters, causing him to immediately climb up to the roof of his vehicle. Passers-by spotted the man in trouble and called the fire and rescue department before he was rescued in a boat at 7:30 a.m. In the meantime, IKEA Malaysia has confirmed that it has carried out clean-up efforts at the basement car park of IKEA Cheras shopping centre at Jalan Cochrane in Kuala Lumpur after heavy rain inundated the area yesterday. In a statement, the company said the parking lot at level B1 that accommodates up to 800 vehicles has been reopened. Escalators are also accessible, but lift services and the B2 parking space remain closed. It also adds that disabled or health-concerned visitors can access the premises through the MyTown shopping centre. Images and videos of the incident taken by customers at the outlet had gone viral on social media. According to IKEA Malaysia, the flooding was caused by its drainage system being impacted by construction beyond its property. A team of workers managed to pump out much of the water several hours later. The company has also confirmed that no damage was reported in the incident. Coming up next, viral clip sparks debate among netizens. The details are next. Welcome back. More than 100 students, a majority of them female, have been injured in New Delhi, India, after fresh protests broke out on Monday over a new citizenship law seen as anti-Muslim. This only a day after clashes overnight in the capital and days of unrest in the northeast that left 6 people dead. Sources said baton-wielding police brutally charged at the students and fired tear gas at 2 federally run universities where students were holding the anti-citizenship law protests. The students, joined by residents, were said to be marching towards Parliament to protest against the bill when police stormed the university and fired tear gas. A source said that students praying at a mosque were also attacked. The brutal video was widely shared on social media, while another video showing students walking with their hands raised caused outrage. Delhi police have defended the police's action, saying that they were there to maintain order. Amid the scuffle, buses and private vehicles were also set on fire. Officials at Al-Shifa and Holy Family hospitals said more than 100 people with injuries were brought in following the clashes. Muslim groups, opposition parties and rights activists in India say the new citizenship law is part of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Hindu nationalist agenda to marginalize India's 200 million Muslims. Modi's government says it will save religious minorities such as Hindus and Christians from persecution in neighbouring Bangladesh, Pakistan and Afghanistan by offering them a path to Indian citizenship. Hong Kong police fired tear gas in late-night street clashes with anti-government protesters in the run-up to the potentially pivotal meeting between Hong Kong's leader and China's president in Beijing today. Black-clad pro-democracy protesters targeted some of the city's shopping centres as police fired back with pepper spray and arrested a number of them. Chief Executive Carrie Lam is set to meet President Xi Jinping amid speculation the visit could yield fresh directives on the city's political crisis, including a possible cabinet reshuffle. But for now, the Hong Kong leader insists that the first task was to curb violence and restore order, while seeking to engage in more dialogue with the public. As flash mob protests and vandalism broke out in several locations, a secondary school girl and a 16-year-old boy were arrested in a Sha Tin mall. Others that remained blocked roads around Mong Kok district, prompting police to fire multiple rounds of tear gas and baton-charged crowds. Some marched through several malls, blocking entrances, smashing glass and chanting slogans including "Fight for Freedom." In the meantime, while thousands protested, more than 100,000 residents gathered at Tamar Park to support police and condemn violence earlier on Sunday. At least 10 people were killed and a number were injured in a fan factory fire in the Ghazipur industrial district on Sunday. The fire ripped through the three-story factory and firefighters only managed to fully extinguish the blaze after a 2.5-hour battle. This marks the second deadly industrial blaze in 4 days. According to officials, search for more casualties is still underway, with no confirmation on the numbers of people that were in the factory. The cause of the blaze is still not yet known. Industrial fires are common in Bangladesh, especially in the dry winter season due to lax enforcement of safety codes. The latest incident followed the death of at least 17 people when an illegal plastics factory outside Dhaka went up in flames on Thursday. And now let's hop on to Clickbait, where we take a look at what's trending and making the rounds in the cyber world today. Now, most buildings are powered by huge amounts of electricity on a daily basis, which, if not well maintained, will increase the risk of electrical-related incidents. Now, recently, a house in Taiping, Perak suffered a dangerously massive short circuit at its porch. A 15-second footage of the incident went viral on Facebook, with one of them raking in over 190,000 views since Friday, and even sparked discussions among netizens. Take a look. With massive, bright and loud sparks, the neighborhood of Taman Saujana gathered in shock to find a house short-circuiting as firemen were seen waiting out front to intercept the situation. According to the netizen who posted the video, fortunately no casualties were reported. Responding to a netizen who asked about the proper safety measures to be taken in such situations, one said nothing could be done until Tenaga Nasional Berhad cut off the power to the house to allow the firefighters to carry out their duties. To intervene in the electrical chaos too early is simply a shortcut at kissing life goodbye. Meanwhile, one netizen questioned the firefighters' seeming inaction with regards to the short circuit, drawing over 40 comments shutting him down, saying the firefighters were simply following the proper standard operating procedure and that anything related to electricity was under TNB's jurisdiction. Now, updated as of 7 p.m, here are the top trending topics and searches on the internet today. Thanks for staying with us here on 7Edition. Media Prima Berhad announced today that it will proceed with its manpower rationalization exercise as part of its next phase of business transformation exercise. Official notification was given to all affected employees on December 16th, with compensation payment promised to be made in full upon completion of internal and regulatory processes. The media conglomerate explained that the new operating structure and list of affected employees have been determined after several consultations with union organizations in the company. The group said it will ensure a fair and equitable compensation governed by the Employment Act, the respective union collective agreements and employment contracts. Moving forward, Media Prima said the next phase of its business transformation exercise will include changes to the group's business model and internal structure. This is to enable it to be future-proofed and sustainable in uncertain current situations. The Cabinet has agreed to abolish the import permit for 54 categories of items previously required for transshipment abroad. According to Transport Minister Anthony Loke Siew Fook, the majority of the items to be abolished are commodities consisting of raw materials or primary agricultural produce brought into Malaysia first before being shipped to another country.
Kabinet telah bersetuju untuk memansuhkan 54 kategori ini daripada senarai yang diperlukan AP. Jadi hanya barangan-barangan yang terkawal dan barangan-barangan membahaya seperti senjata, mercun, barangan-barangan dangerous goods itu sahaja yang memerlukan import permit ini. Barangan-barangan komoditi seperti koko, kelapa, air dan sebagainya telah pun dikecualikan. Jadi ini memudahkan aktiviti transshipment dalam pelabuhan negara kita dan menjadikan pelabuhan kita lebih kompetitif.
He was met after launching a ceremony to mark the record 1 million 20-foot equivalent unit ships that have passed through Johor Port. The exemption, he said, is expected to take effect in the first quarter of 2020. Meanwhile, the Customs Department will also come out with a new list of items that still require the approved permit, AP, for imports.
Who is our biggest supporter here for the port? Association, members of the...
Bursa Malaysia closed lower today due to a trust deficit surrounding the US-China trade talks yesterday. The benchmark FBM KLCI shed 1.81 points compared with Friday's close. Now on to stocks to watch. Kuala Lumpur Kepong KLK's recent share price correction plus the ongoing CPO price rally makes for a more attractive risk-reward proposition. What's more to like about this stock is that the company boasts of younger estates than its big cap planter peers listed on the KLCI index. Next and last on the list, Genting Plantation's rich land bank and young estates makes itself one appealing investment. Fun fact, the group has one of the youngest estate age profiles among its big cap peers in Malaysia.